Hi, I'm Kate from Sewing to Overlocking and I'm here with Echidna Sewing. I'd love to take you through the Baby Lock Enspire and some of the features that I really love about this machine. So let's take a look. So of course, one of my favourite features of this machine is the jet air threading. So this makes threading your loopers so easy. We simply open up the doors. I'm going to press the button using my left hand and turn the wheel. And this locks the threading ports closed, which makes it one complete tube from the threading port all the way through the looper. I actually already have the lower looper threaded, so I'm just going to thread the upper looper. The advantage of an air thread machine is that you can thread in any sequence. So you don't have to do loopers first, needles last. So I actually have already one looper and one needle threaded, and I'm just going to show you how easy it is to thread the others. So a small amount of thread, and we place it down into the threading port. I'm going to press the plunger, and it's going to appear through the upper looper. Just like so. Then when you're ready to start stitching, you simply slide this back. When we're ready to thread the needles, we just need to line up. There's a little green marker on the hand wheel and one on the machine. Click the thread into the top, and it even has a built-in needle threader. So I just tap it down, pop the thread underneath, and it pulls it through. So threading the machine is super easy, and you actually don't even have to put the threads under the foot before you begin to sew. Being an air thread machine, they'll never tangle, so you can simply lower your presser foot and go. Another one of my favourite features is that Baby Lock Enspire actually has a dual cam tension system. So you actually have two tension discs up here. And that just means that there's a pre-tensioner and then a main tensioner. So any tension adjustments are just less finicky, and you can change different thread types with much more ease. Let's now have a look at the vertical needle system. So the Baby Locks have a completely vertical needle system. So most other overlockers in the market will have their needles on a slight angle. By having vertical needles, it's a bit like your sewing machine where the needles are straight up and down. And this just means, combined with the feed system, it will go through thicker fabrics with much more ease. So when you're sewing over intersecting seams, putting sleeves and things in where you're getting a lot of bulk, you won't have any issues with the vertical needles. They'll just go straight down through all your layers beautifully. Another feature which I really love is the cutting width adjustment. So this dial sits down in front of the machine, in front of the needle plate, and it's clearly marked so you can go from wide to narrow stitches just with the simple ease of turning the dial. And as I mentioned, it is very clearly marked with two numbers at every setting. So the larger number is the stitch width using the left needle. The smaller number is the stitch width if you were to remove the left needle and only work with the right. So with the ability to sew at a 7.5mm width, doing really wide decorative overlocking is such a great feature, and it's really just as simple as turning a dial. When we're moving into doing a rolled hem, the stitch length adjustment goes from 1 to 4, and that's a larger dial. It's again just really easy to access at the front of the machine. And when you turn it around to the rolled hem side, the stitch finger actually removes and it just folds back down out the way, which makes it really easy to convert to doing a rolled hem. Another advantage of this machine is being able to lock the cutting blade down. So the dial again is on the front, sitting near the stitch width and stitch length dial. So I'm going to turn that towards the machine. The word lock appears. When this happens, the blade actually stays there as a guide. So with most other overlockers on the market, when you disengage the cutting blade, it disappears completely. And this can be a bit of a risk if you put too much fabric through the machine, because the loopers can come through and pierce the fabric, which will then bend your looper. So the fact that this blade stays up as a guide, it prevents you from putting too much fabric in. So it's perfectly safe to actually lock the blade while you're stitching if you don't want to cut your fabric. And of course, differential feed is such an important part of overlocking, and having a full range differential feed, which the baby locks do, just means you can gather so beautifully and you have full control of the feed of the fabric always, just by adjusting a lever. The accessories live actually built into the machine, so you're not going to lose your accessories which live in a separate box with most other models. So by being able to raise the lid here and swing it out to the right, our little accessory pouch just sits in there, and this is where you can keep your spare needles, tweezers, cleaning brush, and screwdriver, of course. And actually, speaking about screwdrivers, the great feature with these machines is that the needle screws are really large. So if you have difficulty with your hands, being able to just use a nice flat screwdriver and having great control when you're loosening and tightening the screws really does make a big difference, rather than working with a tiny little Allen key. So the standard foot that comes with the Baby Lock Enspire has a groove cut out underneath, which creates a pleat when we're gathering, and it results in really beautiful gathering. It also has a tape guide through the front, which is great for feeding through narrow elastic or stabilising tape when you're working with knits. But let's just have a look at how the amazing differential feed works with our standard foot to create a really beautiful gather. And that's the pleat that I was referring to, and it is just sensational. So now we've done a gather, let's have a look at doing a rolled hem, and I'll pop a rolled hem on the edge of the ruffle. So removing the needles from the machine is really easy with the great big flat screws. I'm just going to grab the little cleaning brush, which is also a needle holder, so the needle doesn't fall down into the machine when I'm removing it. But if that happens to happen, there's this fantastic little needle catcher underneath. So that just slides out. The needle, 99.9% of the time, the needle will fall down into that catcher, and you just slide that out and your needle will be there if you forget to use your needle holder. I'm just going to change the stitch length to rolled hem. I'm going to reduce my cutting width, and as I don't want to gather anymore, I'm bringing my differential back down, increasing my lower looper tension, and let's do a beautiful rolled hem. So she's smooth, quiet, and look at that for an amazing fine rolled hem. So there is a range of other accessory feet that you can get for this machine as well. So they include a gathering foot, which will allow you to gather and attach. There's an elastic foot, which is great because it pre-tensions the elastic for you. 2 sizes in piping feet, beading feet. It just allows you to be so creative and really take your overlocking to the next level. So with the piping foot, you can actually create your own piping and put it in. And it's also what I use to put zips in. So yes, you can even use an overlocker to insert a zip. And it just works perfectly every time when you have the right accessory foot, of course. So I hope you've enjoyed going through some of the features of the Baby Lock Enspire with me. It really is a beautiful machine and such a pleasure to work with. So until I see you next time, happy overlocking.